the idea that we're talking about Laura Loomer is bizarre to me.
She's like the Bannon of this administration.
But the fact is that she literally got the most senior national security advisor fired, and multiple other people in the national security apparatus fired from their jobs. She's a lunatic, but somehow, and even though they kept her off of like the campaign at one point, like it was Milo Yiannopoulos' job, he said, to dig up stuff on her, to like pry her away from Trump. He can't quit her. And so she's come in and basically listed off who's going to get fired, who's going to get retained in the national security apparatus. And now she's out there slamming Pam Bondi for not releasing the Epstein videos and documents. And I can't help but wonder if she doesn't wonder why Pam Bondi's not doing that, if there's maybe her boss has an issue. But here is Laura Loomer unleashed.
Benny Johnson was asking James Comer about the Epstein files and whether or not we could expect to see the Epstein files come out. And usually you hear all these.
Pause it for 1 second. Speaking of files and Benny Johnson, when are we going to see the Benny Johnson files? Let's just go on here.
We could expect to see the Epstein files come out. And, usually you hear all these canned responses from politicians that just go ahead and defend Pam Bondi, right? And they say, oh, Pam Blondy's doing such a great job. It's like, all this fucking circle jerk bullshit. Oh, yeah, she's so amazing. Oh, my God, she's so great. Blah, 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 right? Yeah, she's not so great. Trust me, guys. She's not really doing such a great job. We were promised that these files were going to be released on day one. Day one promise. Well, what is it now? Over 100 days into the Trump administration, have we seen any Epstein files? No, we haven't received any Epstein files. Then she goes on Fox News. I mean, honestly, every single day, Pam Bondi is on Fox News. She's on Fox News more than she does her job. Okay? And other people are starting to realize it. We have a video clip, and we'll play this after the fact, right? Or maybe we should play this video clip before we play the Comer clip so that you can see all the different statements that have been made by Pam Bondi. I made this video clip compilation probably like 2 months or so ago to highlight all of the discrepancies in Pam Bondi's statements. First, she said that the files were on her desk, right? And then she had that ridiculous Bindergate situation at the White House where she made all these crazy binders that were not even full of Epstein documents and had these influencers essentially run a state media campaign for her where they waved these binders around pretending like they were given Epstein files by Pam Bondi. Well, it turns out there's really nothing in the binder. Then she goes on Fox News and says, oh, the files are on my desk right now. Then she tells Mark Levin that the files are being delivered to my office in a truck. So they were on her desk, but then they weren't on her desk. And then they were delivered to her office in a truck. And then the big bad boogeymen over at the deep state were trying to sabotage her, and they lied to her about the real Epstein documents. And then they were going to be released at a later date. But now, right, we don't know, because Pam Bondi also came out this last week and said that there's no set deadline for when they're going to release the Epstein files, even though we were told she already released the Epstein files. Remember when she gave out these binders, right? Bindergate. How could we forget Bindergate? So look, I think we need to just have a come to Jesus moment here and realize and admit that Pam Bondi is a liar, right? She is a full-fledged liar. She has, in my opinion, little to no credibility as a result of her lies about one of the most high-profile criminal cases ever, the Jeffrey Epstein sex scandal, human trafficking scandal, sex crime, pedophilia scandal, something that has captivated the attention of people, not just here in the United States.
Okay, we get it. Pam Bondi is lying. Brandon, who do you think she might be lying on behalf of? Why wouldn't Pam release this?
I really cannot imagine. Maybe Pam Bondi just, lost them, or maybe her boss, the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, is one of Epstein's most famous compatriots.
Well, don't forget some of it might be self-serving too, because Pam Bondi did oversee the Jeffrey Epstein, the case that he actually got tried for in Florida. She was involved with that, so maybe it is a little bit.
Wasn't it Acosta who was the former labor secretary of Donald Trump, who was actually the AG who signed off that in Florida?
That's true.
But wait a second. Donald Trump is going to address whether he'll declassify it. This clip was from when?
Before the election in the summer, I think it was.
Yeah, before the election. Is this with Pete Hegseth was there too? Even I think, no, is that Hegseth? No.
Is that Hegseth? I can't tell. He's not asking the question,
Okay.
though.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassy JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would. I guess I would. I think that less so. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because it's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
I think I would.
Put it out there. A lot of it could be phony. I just want you to know, I wouldn't trust anything in it, if that's what you mean. But maybe.
Again, just to play devil's advocate, we all know Donald Trump is a very loyal guy, and he would never throw one of his own under the bus to save himself.
Oh, never.
Maybe he's protecting Pam Bondi and Acosta. I mean, that could be part of it.
Yeah, it's not fair to them. That's why I'm not doing it. It's not fair to Pam Bondi. I just want to protect her. That's it.
But I mean, I don't even think Laura Loomer actually cares about that. I think she just really, first, I think she really dislikes Pam Bondi. And second, I think she's gone mad with power with the Trump administration kind of bending to whatever suggestion she has about staffing. This seems to be her platform. I don't know if Trump watches Unleashed, which I guess is different from the Luc Besson movie starring Jet Li and Morgan Freeman. But yeah, I don't know if he watches this show, but it's seemingly she's talking to the camera in such a way that leads me to believe that she thinks he might be watching it and might be taking cues from what she wants. It also reminds me of the kinds of reality TV show aside interviews that they have on things like The Real Housewives or even The Apprentice, and that it's very gossipy, the Pam Blondie thing, very, very, mean-spirited.
She seems like a jealous mistress, jealous of Trump and Bondi's relationship and trying to get Trump to, perform for her so she can feel a little bit more validated or something.
But isn't there, the interesting thing to me is that none of the sort of the right wingers are talking about anything. Oh, no, yeah. It is all sort of like War on Christmas equivalent right now on the right. They are desperate to find some type of grievance, and it's very difficult to do, right? You've got to complain that there's a trans singer at a Bernie rally where there might be kids there saying something lewd about God to get to your grievance. That's a long way to go, it seems to me. You've got to be complaining about Blondie not releasing the Epstein files. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world.
I don't know. I think a lot of these far right hosts got their audience into the idea of Trump as a viable solution, not just to culture war problems, but to the rising cost of goods and services in the United States of America. And now that it's become kind of clear, even to people who otherwise might be convinced of Donald Trump's many virtues, that he's not doing that with these tariffs, they have to sort of sheepdog their audience back into line by referencing all of these petty culture war things, referencing all of these conspiracies that keeps their audience engaged and together without having to actually reference what Donald Trump is doing. I do think that the Epstein one is a bit of a double-edged sword because, anyone who looks into Epstein for 15 minutes is going to find Donald Trump is involved.
Yes.
You don't want to Google Donald Trump Epstein.
But that was him working as an undercover agent. That's how they.
No, I had to do it. I had to do it for the kid. I wanted to. I did it to save the children and put them in the Miss America pageant.
I had to go go into those dressing rooms, and trust me, I did not want to be in there.
No. No. I just kept thinking, what if one of these was my daughter?
But I do think the culture war point is a great one. Like, they are literally like foaming at the mouth for something. Like, they're literally giving $500,000 to some white woman in Minnesota who called a young black child a racial slur just because they need to like scratch that culture war itch.
Yes.
They need it. And like, they don't want to focus on what Trump's been doing, what the people in power who they voted in power have been doing.
That I mean, and people may not have heard of this. It's like a huge thing on the right. This woman was caught on video at a playground. The guy starts filming apparently just after she's called a 5-year-old the N-word. And it turns out this 5-year-old was an autistic kid, had taken like her kid's, I don't know, pail or something at the playground. And so she was calling this kid the N-word. Then a guy picks up his phone and is like, you can't do that. And she starts going, oh, yes, I can, because he's an N-word and you're an N-word and I don't care and F you. And then she goes home and starts some type of, it's not quite a GoFundMe or whatever, to protect her family and makes...
Give Send to Go. It's the right wing's own GoFundMe. They created that one a couple
almost
years ago.
$1 million.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a lot of money for her. And the messages they leave, though, when they give the donation, are all white supremacist messaging. It's the 14 words. It's all like, it's very clear who this is, who the money's coming from. It's people who openly support what this woman did for white supremacist reasons, not whatever Matt Walsh of the Daily Caller's claiming to defend it.
And it's interesting.
What is he claiming to defend it?
That like the left started this war with their donations to that black teen,
that Texas teenager.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, so like one of the ways that they're framing this is as a response to that Texas teenager who stabbed that other teenager. It was the case they brought up when you were on the PBD, the Valuetainment podcast. That towards the end, I watched that one. Like that black teen got a lot of donations because the black teen was arrested, and obviously that requires bail, and the family was also being threatened. And so they're trying to frame this as as like a racial solidarity play. Like, if black people can do it, then white people should be allowed to do it as well. But obviously a lot of this is just because, racism is what they want to promote in the public. It's never been more lucrative to be a professional racist than the United States of America.
And it's interesting how all these guys dip their toes into that racist honeypot, which is, look what you made us do, or the right do, or this is a reaction to the woke era, as if they hadn't been raising money for George Zimmerman or whoever the hell over the past 10 years.
Right.
Like, as if this is anything new.
Kyle Rittenhouse, like, I mean,
exactly.
Give me a break. All right.
Yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse is out there saying, that black teen in Texas, he killed someone. He should face time in jail. It's like, do you remember did you forget what you did, my friend? Like, are you kidding me? You killed 3 people.
Well, that was because somebody was looting the gas station, the Piggly Wiggly.
Right. But like altogether, like the right loves focusing on these, like what really should be like minute, like local issues. Like, why are either of these things national issues? They say nothing about policy, but but like, this is what they don't understand. Like, they view these issues, these specific cases, as the equivalent to when, people on the left care about police brutality, or when there's, a protest or even riots sometimes, when there's a case of, a police officer shooting an unarmed person of color. But they don't seem to understand the fact that why those are national issues is because they reflect policy. They reflect the actions of public servants. Oftentimes, the majority of the times, these protests arise out of cases where there aren't any repercussions. There's no arrests. There's no charges. The police let the person who took someone else's life go free, which is never the equivalent with these cases where the right goes, oh, why is no one making a big deal about this one? And you look up the case they bring up, and literally the person they're complaining about was literally arrested and charged at the scene of the crime. They don't seem to understand the injustice element of this, just like I guess they don't understand what due process is.
Well, I mean, just to like say one more thing to that, Matt, they also don't understand the difference between like systemic things happening, like not just policy, but there's like a magnitude by which something can happen, like the number of times it can happen that makes it significant versus like individual incidents of something that are anomalous. And because they're reactionary in their thinking, if they can find like a story about one kid playing the knockout game, they think it's evidence of like a bigger, larger thing that they already believe. And then when they see us talking about like systemic or structural racism or misogyny or et cetera, they don't see the difference. Like they just think that like, you know, it's all the same thing. It's just like they think that like saying the N-word is the same thing as saying any other like insult. They don't understand like the structural or the like the significant amount value that something can have.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.